Once again, welcome back everyone. We are approaching to the last two activities of this afternoon, panel discussion and film. So the last panel discussion of today is a panel discussion on Redesign Special Economic Zone People Proposal. Is co-organized by EEC Watch Thailand and Land Watch Thai. And this panel is moderated by Assistant Professor Dr. Saovanee Kaewjullakarn, National Commission of Jurists. So can I invite Dr. Saovanee on screen?
Hey.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Jerry. Before I say anything, I would like to say that I have not yet like the doctor yet. I just like assistant professor, but anyway, so it's very nice to be part of the event today. Yes.
Thank you. So before I over the floor to you, let me introduce you to the audience. So Assistant Professor Saovanee lectured law for over 8 years. Following that, she's decided to focus her contribution on business and human rights. She is currently employed by the UNDP Thailand and by the International Commission of Jurists Asia and Pacific Program as a legal consultant. So now, Dr. Assistant Professor Saovanee, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you so much for today. Yeah, as Jolie mentioned, today is the last session, but not least, because human rights, this is not the finished work. We have to fight together to maintain human rights and to make sure that everyone have met the good quality and met the human right international standard. So before I introduce each panelist, I would like to say a bit about what is Spatial Economic Zone to provide a background information to participants today. Actually, Spatial Economic Zone or SEZ. SEZ are the area where the government facilitate industrial activity through tax and other incentive and infrastructure support. And most SEZs, they are governed under a specific legal framework. And SEZ has been developed into a one-size-fits-all policy. Options for the government, especially Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar, and Thai, who seek to expand their industrial base. All these governments embrace the concept that SEZ will serve as the foundations for the growth in the economy. However, while investment have resulted in increased gross domestic product or GDP, there are evidence that economic performance of many SEZs remain below expectations. In addition, these SEZs tend to prioritize investor benefits over community well-being and often reduce transparency and accountability. This will define as a long, this will definitely has a long negative consequences for communities, governments, and investors. The ICJ has also released a report of human rights consequent of Spatial Economic Zone in Myanmar and Thailand. And we found that the community in the two countries are facing the same problem, including no transparency and lack consultation, no adequate protection on the right to adequate housing and food to the local residents. And there are reports of a large-scale evictions without or with inadequate compensation, no adequate protections against environmental impact, and also no adequate protection on labor rights. And also in the October 2020, Land Watch Thai also published a report about SEZ in Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar, Vietnam, and also Thailand, and their impact on the rights, land, and environmental concern. Therefore, we here today with our distinguished panelists to discuss about the challenge, that we are facing and together shape recommendation to redesign the SEZ so it may help both boost economic while protect human rights. Okay, today we're gonna start with our first panelist ค่ะ Dr. Somnuck Jongmeewasin. He is a representative from EEC What Thailand. Okay, so now the floor is yours ค่ะ Dr. Somnuck. Okay, สวัสดีค่ะ
Okay, สวัสดีครับ Good afternoon, everyone. Actually, I have a slide and I have about 13 minutes, right? If I'm not wrong. Okay, I should show the slide first so everyone can see the same thing. Okay. Okay. Actually, I will not talk much about the problem because many years I talk a lot for the problem from the EEC, the Eastern Economic Corridor. These are kind of special economic zone. Actually, in Thailand, we started with the special economic zone in the border of Thailand, about 10 area in 2015. And the EEC is the second, the second product of the special economic zone is starting in 2017, and now it's already 4 years past. Okay, so for my presentation, my discussion today, we will talk about every problem can be solved, environment versus development, if we start to redesign the economic model. Okay. So you see my polar bear, right? Really nice. I love this. Okay. The next one, I'm talking about the resource curse. What does it mean, the resource curse? It's mean our ASEAN country, we have a lot of natural resources. People can make use water, can find your mining, can find your land, can find everything, because we are under the tropical area. So a lot of development developed in our country in ASEAN area and got a lot of environmental issue. So this kind of development that we call resource curse should be over. There is a long way to move on, and so we have to U-turn. What we have to U-turn is, let's say in Thailand, we have a lot of pollution. I think almost every province in Thailand, we got the issue, particularly in the east of Thailand. That is my area. And my area, this is the third time already that we got the pollution. The first time we got the Eastern Seaboard Development Part 1. The second era is the Eastern Seaboard Development Part 2. And the third era, which is now we call Thailand 4.0, is coming with the EEC or Eastern Economic Corridor. Very long name. I will make it in short, is EEC. So we have more than 30 years with issue. We have to resolve the all issue. I mean all old issue first. Then for the new issue should be stopped for the current area as well as the new area. And how to make the people from the industrial sector and people from the local community stay together peacefully. It means, okay, no more development like this, but the old guy that stand still together, we can live and work together with happiness until the next generation. Okay. This is the way that we always do it in the east of Thailand, is guide to conflict management. Normally, when we are doing the thing, we were talking about the compromising within the middle of the framework here. But if we can do what we want, okay, in the sustainable way, we can go to the collaboration or collaborating, which is on the right above. Okay. Next, I will talk more about the EEC development policy. Why we never learn that the development from top down is not effective to Thailand as well as to ASEAN country. I think it's not effective for all around the world. But EEC development policy is more ineffective because it's established by the military special order. This comes from the constitution. We call it interim constitution. It's a temporary use until we have the new government. And the new government is the same prime minister. It's General Prayut Chan-o-cha. Okay. By the way, the special order, they have so many special order to develop EEC. So people, project affected people or the local community did not get involved with the EEC development plan. So then in 2018, they transformed the special order into act. They call this act is Eastern Special Development Zone Act. So this act normally is special order. Now the special order is become the official act. So we have to conform the official act that did not get our people involved. I will call this act in short, this called EEC Act. Then the development under this act and this special order is a top-down model. So this is a repeat of Spatial Economic Zone in the 10 area since 2015 that I said earlier, and almost bankrupt. Only 2 Spatial Economic Zone in Thailand that can continue, but it continue in another way. It not continue as the original plan. And the next thing is that the development in the EEC, they repeat again for the Eastern Seaboard development that make us the east of Thailand got a lot of pollution issue. And the new law and regulation also launched to support the military special order and that EEC Act. The 3 things that happen is the law is speed up, the law is exemption, the law is to spoil. The 3 things is to ease or top-down action. So it means if the investor would like to expedite the project, they can do it. You can exempt the law. You can speed up by the new law. You can spoil it because of the law exemption. Okay. And the last thing is that everything that I said, there is lack of meaningful public participation. So we could not get win-win development that I said earlier in the previous slide. So the policy, the law, and the mechanism is lack of meaningful public participation. And at the heart of the EEC development process is lacking of SEA. I think someone may know about SEA. SEA stands for Strategic Environmental Assessment. It means to study your area. What is your maximum capacity? What is your maximum capability? What is your identity? What is your resources? And what is your interesting? But everything that I said, it did not happen in the EEC. Everything happened under the central government decision and a few groups who dictate the area. The people who leasing the land in the EEC area, the people who bought the land in the EEC area, or the people who have the connection for the infrastructure in the EEC area. Okay, this is the EEC city plan for 20 years, starting from 2017 till 2037. Now it's already 4 years past, as I said earlier. This city plan, many people in the EEC area did not get involved, did not participate for the design. So when the city plan is launched, officially, people group together and take the lawsuit to the Supreme Administrative Court last year in the time of COVID. And about 8 months, the lawsuit approved and get it into trial process. Right now, it's under trial process. The problem about the city plan is that they have a lot of change of land use. Let's say for 20 years, they change a lot for the new city development land, increasing about 34%. The area for industrial development increasing about 64%. But they decrease the area for agriculture or food production area about 12%. So this is not the best way for the SDG era, and it's not the best way to soothe our COVID-19 pandemic, because we need food rather than industry. Okay, and in the midst of the COVID era in Thailand, the government still continue the special economic zone in other area. Okay, not only EEC, they also consider to what we call re-wake up the special economic zone. About 2 area already woken up, and they also thinking about the new Southern Economic Corridor is another special economic zone. They also thinking about the what we call advanced city. Actually, it's not city; it's the industrial city. It means industrial estate, but make it a good name in Chana of Songkhla. And they also announced that they will have more special economic zone in center of Thailand, north of Thailand, as well as the Isan or northeast of Thailand as well. So they did not stop for the special economic zone in Thailand, even in the time of the pandemic. Okay, and now we have a lot of foreign government involved. For example, you see this Japanese flag. We have the China flag. Okay, we also have US and so on. Okay, I will not mention because a lot, but the two of them involving a lot. And for the EEC Act, they have a lot of problem. For example, Section 36, they talk about the land that under the agricultural land reform. Normally it's for agriculture, but this section, they change the purpose of the land that you can use the land for other business rather than the agricultural land. It depends on the law from the EEC Act and the new law that the EEC Commission, I call it the policy committee, will take it into account. Another example is the section 53. They're talking about the state land. You can lease the state land. Or authority of the Treasury Department is the land that normally we give to the poverty. But for the rich guy who have money, you can lease this kind of land. With respect to such land, shall be the authority of the office. I mean the EEC office. So the thing of the land use change a lot for the EEC Act. Okay, similar to the section 53 paragraph 2, they said in the use of the state land under the first paragraph, the criteria, procedure, or condition as described by the law governing state land shall not apply. It means the law can be exempt. So what kind of the act that you can exempt another act? So this is a poor, I mean the gap of the act that they use in the EEC area. Okay, the next slide I'm talking about the quotation quote by Richard Fuller. He is a famous American architect and the futurist of the 20th century. He already passed away. He said that you never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that make the existing model obsolete. So we will make the existing model obsolete. Next. So EEC people thinking about short-term and long-term solution eventually in the mid-COVID. We think that we will never seen the post-COVID. The COVID still allow us until the COVID is what we call decreasing in power that affect to our health lesser and lesser. So we think about how to protect our people, okay, regardless of the race in the EEC zone to be safe from the COVID first. Now we are building the health safety net of the East, okay, to help EEC and the association area to stay safe for COVID. The next is to protect our food security and sovereignty and all relevant resource, let's say water resource for food production area during and after the COVID crisis, while the EEC development still continue without pandemic concern. Yes, our Thai government did not concern about pandemic and they start to develop EEC more and more. Next, our EC people have to follow up the judgment that I said. We already make a lawsuit. So the lawsuit is under trial process. We need to see and expedite the judgment as soon as possible. The the time passed, it means the land gone. Yeah. So we have to stop it as soon as possible. Next, we have to force to amend the EC Act that I said a lot of gap that speed up and exempt the law. It's not a good act. Next is to force to limit the duration of the EC. EC, they're talking about development time for 20 years. We need to divide it into 10. It means decrease it about 10 years or lesser, and then no more EC. And the last, it's very big important thing is it should be no more special economic zone in Thailand. And actually, I should say that it should be no more special economic zone in ASEAN as well, because special economic zone did not help us, for the rich and poverty to balance, but it makes us inequality more and more. You can use, let's say in Thailand, we have BOI law, Board of Investment, to keep the foreigner period. It's enough, no need to keep let's say 50-year leasing or 99-year leasing, or you can keep the job that the Thai people only can do to other foreigner. This is not the way that the people do in the time of the COVID period, in the time of 21st century. Okay, so the next slide, I will redesign. I call it the new economic development, the two models. I will show today. The first model is I call recovery economy, and the second model is supportive economy. So before going to the two models, I would like to ask everyone, what are ASEAN learning from COVID-19? I think we learned a lot that, okay, the current model, neoliberalism, did not tell us. We have to change something in order to stay tuned with COVID or any other pandemic after COVID or any other problem because of climate change. COVID-19, people believe that it's one of effect after the climate change. Okay, so before going to the recovery economy, I will talk about the green recovery. Green recovery is not enough, but green recovery, you can transform it to recovery economy by transforming the decoupling into trade-off. It means when you build anything, you have to think about externality a lot. Okay, the trade-off, it means you think inclusive. You think about externality cost, tangible cost and intangible cost, and emphasize on the real. What is the real? The real is mean now in the world we talk a lot for BCG, B it bioeconomy, C is circular economy, G is green economy. Okay, but we need the real BCG model. It means bioeconomy should be clear, care, fair share, not only for a few groups, not only the rich, but the poor and the middle class. Everyone can do the bioeconomy. Second one is circular economy. Now, circular economy is a discourse, it's a narrative. We're talking about we change the waste into the goods, but actually when the waste came to Thailand or other country like in Philippines or Indonesia, the waste is permanently dumping into the landfill. It means you make use it about 10% and 90% you dump into the country that is the destination of the waste. And sometimes they also burn it. I call it unhealthy incineration. So we have to think beyond the 3R, not only reduce, reuse, recycle. We have to think about rethink, redesign, and regulation in order to control the circular economy. The last is green economy. Everyone talking about the green and green and green. Yes, but what does it mean, the green practice? The green practice is not only a product and service level, but the green practice should be going into mindset level. That one we will call green. Then when we can succeed into the recovery, we can go to the next step. I call it the second model, supportive economy. Okay, the supportive economy is a little bit enhanced from recovery economy. We will think about capacity of the area. We will think about SEA, strategic environmental assessment, and we will think about meaningful public participation. We're also thinking about the development of community identity, resource, and ecosystem of the area as well. Okay, so supportive economy, I talk about the concept first because I have no time. We will think that the structure of the environmental issue is caused by economic model and economic way. These are the two factors that affect us. We now can solve it by focusing on the economic model and economic way. But the green economy that I said earlier can solve only the way, not the model. So if we want to change, okay, but the model does not change, so we can't solve inequality issue. Environmental solution will be just a remedy, not a sustainable design if we could not change the model. So supportive economy can help you to change both model and economic way. Okay, how? It gives you sharing. It gives you fair economy. It gives you growth economy, and it also gives you self-sustainability. This is the new normal and the next normal of the economy for the COVID, the post-COVID, or maybe after pandemic come. Okay, so I can conclude that the supportive economy is not an option, but it's a new model to minimize inequality, both human to human and human to nature or human to environment. Okay, and my last slide, this is the main component of supportive economy. Now we implementing in the south of Thailand, and we start to implementing in the east of Thailand. And if we can do it, we will do every province of Thailand. But we will have the different different style. It depends on 4 factors. The first factor is economic activity in line with geography and ecosystem. The second factor is economic designer who design is all stakeholders should help each other to design the economic. The third one is connectivity or the connection, okay, between the business, between the human, business, and nature, I mean environment, okay. The connection between the government, I mean central government, local government, and the people. And the last factor is appropriate positioning. If we can make appropriate positioning, each province, each region will have the different. So we can live together with the different style of resource, and we will not lack anything. And we will live together safe in the time of pandemic. Because in the time of pandemic, we could not go anywhere, and we learned a lot from the COVID. Almost 2 years already. This is about my presentation. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for your wonderful presentation ค่ะอาจารย์สมนึกค่ะ let me summarize a bit about your presentation. I think is most of them is already comprehensive, especially your model.
Thank you.
Yeah, especially your recommendation model. Do you say this like a supportive economy, right? But before we have this model, Ajahn Kieu also mentioned one thing that I think is very interesting. Ajahn Kieu said that like because the problem around spatial economic zone in Thailand, we include EEC, Eastern Economic Corridor, because of the top-down policy, because the government used the top-down policy, and that's why they come with many problem, right? Lack of meaningful public participation. So this is not the real of the objective of the development. Yeah, and he also mentioned one thing. He also said that no more special economic zone, right? But he encouraged the government to use the law under BOI, because the law under BOI also proved that, right, it is work during the this pandemic. Yeah, so I think it's so if you have any questions, so you can typing us in the chat box, or after that we're gonna have like Q&A, so we can like discuss a bit more about your recommendation and if anyone had any concern. Thank you so much. So we gonna like pass to our next panelist, Dr. Kanokwan Manorom. She is a doctor. She is a professor from Mahavichayalai Ubon Ratchathani. So now the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, the facilitators and organizers, for inviting me to present about my knowledge, my experience regarding special economic zones in Thailand and in the Northeast region or ASEAN in Thailand. And I would like to share my PowerPoint. Okay, let me see. No, where is it? Okay. Where should I share it? Ajahn Somnuck. Ajahn Somnuck.
I already stopped sharing yet. Ajahn Kanokwan can share now.
Yeah, please. Okay. Okay, thank you. Where is my PowerPoint? Let me see.
We can share it for you if you like.
Let me see. I think actually I shared just before I was testing. And I don't know where is my PowerPoint. I can't find where to share. Okay, let me see. Let me try. Okay, I think it's here. Okay, anyone, you can see my PowerPoint,
Yeah,
all right?
I saw it, yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Ajahn Somnuck. Your presentations made me think about what I'm going to say. I think my presentation is very relevant to what you have just said. My topic would be exactly the same as I got the assignment from the organizer. Redesign I would like to say conventional spatial economic zones, because it's very conventional, very traditional, that been influential all over the world, and particularly in the Mekong regions. And the World Bank really believed that special economic zones would boost a lot of growth and economies in many countries around the world. That's why, particularly in developing countries, including Thailand, actually special economic zones was introduced by Thaksin government long times ago, before he ousted by the military. He offered this idea. He even came up with the policy, but a lot of civil society organizations, a lot of people opposed these ideas. And then the policy just stopped, and then he's gone. But the military government just revised it and make it happen. That's why we got EEC, we got so many economic zones in the paper, but only workable in some areas. And my focus would be why we need to redesign conventional special economic zones and how to do it. I'm going to use the case study from Mukdahan province. Is one of the province that designed by the government to put in place the special economic zone. Before I talk about the case study, I would like to say why we need to redesign the conventional special economic zones. I have 4 justifications. The first one, as Ajahn Somnuck just had said, is a very top-down decision making. The government has full authority, rights to access, control, and use resources, particular land, both common lands and private lands. And the government try to achieve the outcome without having a very careful considerations, the process of land appropriations, of taking the resources from local people or from people who own the land. And they just try to achieve all the results, which is to achieve economic growth and to generate income and to improve employment rate in Thailand or around the world. This is the first justification, the top-down decision making. The second one's about developmental bias. Of course, why I said that, special economic zones is in the favor of the private sector. The government thought of how to make the private sector to invest on particular area that been designed by the government to put in place special economic zone. So private sector is a priority, not local people. Private sectors maybe from overseas, from within the country. And from my research, I found that the government's representatives like local governments or the officers who work in the province, they're acting like land brokers. They try to take land from local people and offer to the business. They're in the middle between private sector and local people. And this is the third justification is lack of participation and public participation and local participation within the process of special economic zone, just similar to what Ajahn Somnuck said. So the government take full control of decision-making process, as I said, and they issue special laws and orders and enforcement to appropriate lands and water resources. They got full authority, full rights to do that, and without having any room for local people to express their concerns, to say what the problems going on the ground, what they really need, what local people need, they need special economic zone or not. It's something from outside and put into the community, and the government try to own land, own water resource, own other resources that related to economic growth and to support the special economic zone. And the last justification is land conflict. Of course, it's because of unfair compensation and unsustainable livelihood. So common lands being grabbed by the state. I would like to use grab. Land being grabbed by the state or the government's officer. And the common land, including water, land, any wildlife that are based for local livelihoods, for food security, for income security, being taken or grabbed by the government. And even the government try to compensate land resource to local people, but the price or the price that the amount of money that they give to local people is very low compared to the real price, the market price. So and particularly the local people who own really weak land title like Asst.Pro Kids 401. So local people who own this kind of land title, this very weak type of land title, they got very little money compared to local people who got really strong land paper, for example. So, but from my research, I found that land is very important or a significant resource for livelihood security. So it means if you have land, you're very confident to invest on your land, and you can invest on your land and you grow anything. You can raise cattle, you grow crops, maybe double crops if you have enough water, and you can make money, and not for yourself, but also for the whole family and for the kinship system. So lands becomes a site of social interactions, economic interactions among family members and between families within the community. So this is my second point. I'm going to show you the special economic zones in Thailand in Mukdahan province. Here, this is the first phase of economic zone in Thailand. So we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, about 10 zones. And in the Northeast, we have 3 special economic zones. And I study in Mukdahan province, sharing the border with Lao country. As Ajahn Somnuck said, a lot of orders proposed, issued or imposed by the National Council for Peace and Order or NCPO during 2015 to 2018. For example, rule of the Office of the Prime Minister on Area Management in Special Economic Zones, and NCSEZ Announcement 1 on defining area of Special Economic Zone and defining area for Special Economic Zone Phase 1 and Phase 2. This give officer full authority to appropriate land, to consolidate land around the country, particularly in the assigned area of Special Economic Zones. Look at this map. And you know, it's very surprisingly, it's very interesting. You know, Special Economic Zones always located along the border because the government believe that the borderlands really backward. It's very poor area. So people living along the border is very poor. They need a lot of development projects. They need a lot of income. And the government also would like to take advantage of border facilities along the border. That's why they locate the SI Special Economic Zone along the border. And the government have seen that lands, water, and any other resources that very good for Special Economic Zones can be more commoditized and can be transferred from common land or public land into private land easily, because you know border is kind of flexible area for many purposes. It's a gray area between black and white economics activities like legal and illegal stuff over here. And because of the economic integrations in the Mekong region, that's why SEZ located along the border, easy to attract labor from neighboring countries and easy to attract investors from neighboring country as well. So for the private sector, particularly in Mukdahan, the government announced that, oh, we offer you income tax exemptions. So only 50% reduction. So you pay only 50% for income tax. And they permit to double deduct cost of transportation, electricity and water supply for a period of 10 years. Wow, this is good for private sector. In order to draw attention from private sector, and exempt of import duty for machinery and raw materials and essentials, and permit to employ foreign unskilled laborers. So even unskilled labor, you can employ, no problem. In Mukdahan, so BOIs identify clearly that 3 economic activities would be developed in Mukdahan areas. Is Mukdahan, this is the Mekong River, this is Saovanee. Also Laos, they has the country has Saovanee Special Economic Zone. So Mukdahan just very newly established, but it's not very workable, it's not very effective. But lands already taken by the government already. So the government believe that the Saovanee Special Economic Zone and Mukdahan Special Economic Zone would share the benefit together. That's the idea. So they would like to build trading and multimodal transportation centers in Mukdahan. And for Mukdahan, you go to Da Nang, Hanoi easily, and to go to China easily as well. They are now building or constructing twin track railway from Khon Kaen. Khon Kaen is a very well-known and very prosperous province in the northeast. They're going to link the big city like Khon Kaen and to Mukdahan and to Nakhon Phanom, and to build highway. This is to provide facilities, infrastructure developments projects, or for investor, for business sector. But as I said, Special Economic Zone in Mukdahan create land conflicts and unfair compensation. For example, the Department of Treasury came to the area and appropriate common area used by local people to raise cattle and to make use of natural resources or aquatic resources for daily income and daily food consumption. They force people to leave the area. The area is not so big, only 430 acres, and they consolidate this area. They even put the announcement to attract the local the investor, and villagers use this land before for cattle raising. They made a lot of money from raising cows, so they got about almost 100,000 baht per year just for selling cows to the local markets or markets outside the region. And cattle, you know, very important economic activities in the Northeast region, because the region is very good for raising cow because of a lot of lands and a lot of common lands, public lands that cattle can be raised, and villagers can make a lot of money. And yeah, so this is the third justification: lack of public law and local participation. Of course, they came to the province. They consulted only with the formal leaders of the community. They invited them to the city hall, and they set the meeting areas and invited only mostly the villagers, not the people who raise cow, not women. Women so underrepresented in the meeting, and they force people to leave the land and then fence the area. They put the fence around the area, not allow local people to come and raise cows anymore. This is the problem. Okay, this is the, you know, the area is so nice. The people grow rice and cassava, sugarcane. They turn rice field to other crops during dry season. They raise cattle. They use these public lands for food, particularly this pond, a lot of ponds in the area that local people, particularly women, they come and catch aquatic resources for food, for food and income. And they even put like contemporary shelters. It's a site of social interactions among villagers from different villages. More than, I think, 20, no, more than 10 villages. Villagers from more than 10 villages come and raise cattle together. It's like common area for many villages within the district. This is the NTFP non-forest timber products that are collected by women. This is really good money. They collect mushroom. They have collected so many resources from this area. So this is my almost the last slide. So the key problems of conventional spatial economic zones for local people, I would like just to say local people. Of course, resource misallocation. So resource should be allocated to particular community, to community, not the private sector, because the area is so small. Why you have to allocate common area that's quite small to the private sector? It's very, very surprised. Normally, spatial economic zone would be very large, like cover a lot of districts, but this area is very small. So it's kind of misallocated. And you know, the action of self-interest individual with limited information and option to promote economic progress. It means the government would like to prefer a few business people or only one business people to come to the area, and they promote this to the private sector in order to develop the Mukdahan province as a whole, without considering a large amount of people who depend on this area and a large amount of people who use this area for many years in the past, and of course even in the future for their offsprings. And of course the government just try to invest on expensive and long-term oriented endeavor. It's a long-term. You never know things going to happen. The land's already appropriate But you know, Mukdahan's special economic zone, no private sector have come to the area and rent area from the government. It's kind of long-term and uncertain. So the government should have very careful assessment before they decided to take small piece of land and convert it into special economic zone. And you know, unskilled labor, because if they try to build any factories or any industrial factory, but the local people over there, they unskilled their agricultural labor. So how could their skill, their experience would be fit with the new job offered by the business people? Of course, it's a kind of rent-seeking behavior, both from business and from the government authority. So people would like to, the private sector would like to pay rent, but the rent is very low compared to the normal market outside the special economic zone, because the government prefer the business to come and they exempt so many things, including tax and rent. And of course, risk, because land acquisition and resettlement would harm to local people if they lost their land. So their livelihood would be harmful in the future, not only for the existing generation, but also for the future generations, because the livelihood of the local people would be transformed without respect the rights of the people, and they never assess to what extent local people depend on local resources. They use, they control resource over generations. They make a lot of better quality of life by themselves. And this is my last slide, how to redesign special economic zone. The idea is how anything regarding economic growth would be so-called responsible with investment. The government or any private sector have to be very responsible on investment. So I would like to offer four issues here. The first one, you have to uncover both the hidden costs and untapped potential of zone policy. So, you know, based on my experience reviewing literatures or research from India and other countries, we found that a lot of hidden costs, social costs that been hidden from the special economic zone because they misallocate resource. They encourage the rent seeking, and they need we need to revise it. We need to revise misallocation of resource. We need to revise the encouragement of rent seeking and how to reform it effectively. And the second one, we need to take local views into dialogue with special economics on economic zone with others, particularly with private sector, with other social organized civil society organization, with government, with academics. So we need to bring local people to talk with many stakeholders from different levels. So because local people, indigenous people, including women and men, they have their own views on resources. They have knowledge, they have social cohesion. So gender is something already there. They have division of labor. We need to think of intersectionality because people from different socio-economic locations or background or experience, they have different use of resource in the area. So we need to link the views of local people into a discussion of special economic zone. Just the view from academics like us, but also we need to learn from local people what they think about special economic zone, what they have in mind, what the worldview of them on special economic zone. And we need to learn about impacts of special economic zones across the regions from other regions in the world or in neighboring countries. So including the impacts, negative and positive impacts. But the problem is from my experience, special economic zones is rather harmful. It impacts social and economic fabrics of local people and because they've transformed livelihood. They change local people from agricultural-based economy to industrial-based economy, which is very complicated. And the people so concerned about pollution, so concerned about water conflicts, because the water is so limited in the area. They're afraid that one day the company or the factory would take more money from local people and to supply to industrial zone. But how about local people or agricultural sector? How the agricultural sector are going to survive? And a special economic zone, if you want to do, you have to do really transparent and accountable governance. So you have to do fair compensations. You have to think about future generations and long-term monitoring of the accumulations impacts of the socio-economic zone and concerns about intergeneration poverty. From my experience working on hydropower, so poverty is being transferred from generation through generation after the dams been built, particularly Pangmun Dam in Thailand. And I would like to end with the words from local woman who I interviewed. She said, we need our own special economic zone. We have, she said she has her own special economic zone. She raised her finger and point to the common area where she raised cattle. She said, we would like to use that zone to raise cattle. We already earn lots of income from using this land that was grabbed by the government, and it is offered to the businessman. So from my experience, from my research, I would like to conclude that if the special economic zone is going to work, it should be a special economic zone from below. So it means local people, they have already have special economic zone on from their own perspective based on what they have. They have practiced through generations. Thank you very much. This is my the end of my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Kamolwan. I feel a bit so sad when you say that this is your last slide, because I feel like amazing with your information, and I have a lot of idea. So and for me, I love the idea that you try to present for justification and why we need to redesign conventional spatial economic zones. So now for my personal, I got the answer why we need to redesign. But anyway, because I don't want to comment about your presentation or give any recommendation because it's also comprehensive. So, but I would like to add something about the RAN, because you say that in the RAN part is also, how can I say, land and conflict, unfair compensation, and sustainable livelihoods is also one of the four justification why you say that this is need to redesign special economic zone. And I think I completely agree and would like to say a bit about recently ICJ and our colleague, including Land Watch Thai and also EEC Thailand, we send the general comment to the Committee on Social, Economic and Cultural Rights on the rights to land. Why this is very important? Because of the land problem is not a problem in our regions, but the land problem is the problem of throughout the world. So why the committee? So this why the committee draft the general comment number 26, which also mentioned that all the state party have to respect the rights of the people, especially regarding to land relocation or land grabbing. So in the draft of general comment, they have the criteria how to force people to the country and how to compensate, especially when the government allow the investor to develop to turn the land into the development area. So let's we hope that the general comment number 26 will launch soon, and we will use as a guideline to protect us, because the
good
Thai
news.
government, because like the Thai government, and I think like ASEAN states, most of them is a party of the Convention on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights. So this the obligation of the state to respect and to promulgate the law to protect this kind of concern. Yeah. So let's hope.
Let's
to
hope for the
see-
best.
Yes, ka. Okay, ka. So now it's turn to our last speaker. I would like to invite Kun Rama. He is a regional project officer, Central Cambodia. So now, Kun Rama, ka. สวัสดีค่ะ คุณอันรามา
Okay, sorry. Okay.
Okay ค่ะ
ជំរាបសួរ សាយ័ន្តសួស្តីពី កម្ពុជា Good evening from Cambodia, everyone, and good evening to the audience who are watching the talk show on MELF. Okay. Oh my God. Okay, thank you so much for your invite me to participate in the talk show even today, that we talk about the redesign of the special economic zones in ASEAN, and also engage me that representative of the labor sector that we observe in the special economic zone in Cambodia. Okay, so now I may not have any idea, but I just want to show all of you about the current situation in the special economic zone, especially in Sihanouk nowadays. That we refer to about the labor issue, that anybody talk much about the land issue, and also the policies of the special economic zone and how to redesign it for all, especially for the local people. But now I would like to draw everyone to focus on the level. We are care too much from the SEZ start to open from the beginning. It means that from the land and now until inside of the special economic zone company, also we care about the level of the local people are working, face a lot of issues. So I would like to share my screen, please. Okay, I would like to tell everyone to know about the true story inside of the special economic zones. But before we enter to the main issue in the special economic zone of the labor sectors, I would like to tell all of you that lacking of independent union lead to violation of worker rights and working conditions in the Sihanouk special economic zone. And so on. I would like to tell you a little bit about Sihanouk special economic zone. As you see, I may tell you a few times about the Sihanouk special economic zone. In among also, when special economic zone has been approved by the CDC of Cambodia to operate, Sihanouk special economic zone is the biggest one. Yes, in among the Saovanee as easy. And this is the special economic zone is cooperated by the two Chinese companies. One is Jiangsu Taihu Cambodia International Economic Cooperation Investment, and the second is Cambodia International Investment Development Group (Co-Ltd), and owned by one senator of Cambodia, His Excellency Lau Meng Khun, and anybody know that he is a husband of one power woman in Cambodia, and she is vice president of Cambodia Red Cross, is Jang Supip, and so powerful in Cambodia. and with the capital of investment $320 million US, and special economic zone has been approved in 2008. And until now, there are 180 companies and factories are opening and running in the special Saovanee special economic zone with 26,815 workers who are work inside of the special economic zone. This data that we take in 2020. And as you see, SEC developer vision is to make the area a sunken cities of Cambodia, and it's an important model for China One Belt One Road. And in 2008, the Chinese government also provides funding for construction highways from Saovanee to Phnom Penh, and it will be complete in 2023. And it's very important that Saovanee will become a Shenzhen of China. Maybe anyone know. And according to the Saovanee Special Economic Zone administration report, that Saovanee Special Economic Zone has invest capital in nowadays is 744 million and 564,088.1 is nearly 800 of million. The national and international investor in Saovanee total 11 countries who invest in Saovanee Special Economic Zone with 48 different product activity. Yes, and most of them are Chinese in the Special Economic Zone. But now let me show you about the issue. I mean that the true story of the Special Economic Zones. Workers who are working in the Special Economic Zone, they are not get a special wage. Meanwhile, the government or the state has provided special thing to the investor who are invest in the Special Economic Zone. Based on the Article 104 of the labor law of Cambodia, has been required that wage must be ensured all the worker have a decent standard living in line. But unfortunately, and nowadays the worker inside Special Economic Zone just got 192 of the minimum wage, and with the long or much of overtime almost every day, and they can get just only range from 192 to 230 per month. But what we are concerned, the wage is not replied or appropriate to their expense in the daily inflation, and everything is too high expense, and the worker just get the low minimum wage in the Special Economic Zone. And the second one is short-term contract. What we are concerned is most of the workers who are working in the Special Economic Zone are recruited to work in a fixed-term contract in 2 months, 3 months, and 6 months. And this is very popular in the Special Economic Zone, that we are concerned a lot of benefit and also worker fundamental rights has been reduced, and they cannot to use their fundamental right. And that, as you see, every worker will be concerned about their securities of work, no stability, because the company are not compliant based on the law. As you see, we have two kind of employment contract. The first one is fixed-term contract, and the second one is unspecified duration contract. In probation, it starts from 1 month to 3 months. This is the probation, but full-time is at least from 6 months to 2 years. But in real practice, every worker just got in short-term contract with 3 months or 6 months. And every worker cannot use their fundamental rights. They cannot use the rights to join with the union, and they don't have benefit that required by the law, so they lost rights and everything too much about a short-term contract. And the second is no social security with the short-term contract. Yes, workers have no social security because some of those companies are not registered. Yes, in the commercial ministry of Cambodia, they have a small amount of workers who are working inside the factory. And the third is no decent working time. No decent working time. I mean that based on my work and work with worker every day. In recently, we observe that worker work much time, 8 hours per day, and they try to add more 2 or 4 hours more. It means that 10 or 12 hours per day that worker need to work. Yes, and it is not based on the voluntary policy, but most of the workers are got the pressure from the company. So this is a hard way that worker difficult to demand or to tell to the story that it is the regulation policy because of the short-term contract. When worker try to demand, try to do something to get the right and to oppose what the company do on them, it means that the short-term contract will be come down to them. Maybe next month or after next month, they will dismiss and based on the law, no mistake. This is a very dangerous for worker. And the fourth is poor working condition and loss of the benefit required by the law. The last is a threat of and unable to join trade union. This is that I summary the impact or issue that company try to use short-term contract in special economic zone. And the next is trade union busting. As you know, in the name of labor group, unions and confederation, we are attempt to organize to establish the trade union in the special economic zone many times, but we fail. It's very difficult to establish local trade union. May you know, based on the level of Cambodia and based on the international regulation, they provide a completely freedom of association to the worker to join and establish the local trade union in order to represent the worker, in order to protect right, in order to protect their benefit, because they know that nobody can help worker. Yes, just only a union, but the company they try to union busting. The first one is the worker word and photograph. It means that post the photos on the wall in front of the factory. In almost every factory has been post a photo of the activists of the union, and those companies are not allowed to accept or recruit them to work in the factory as well. This is the part that we are used to meet. And the second is trade union persecution. Trade union persecution is mean that many workers or some workers who are engaged with the trade union activities, when the company they know about it, they will try to dismiss all those activists or unionists from the work. It means that they will dismiss the employment easily, and so the worker they are so afraid of losing their job, and they are afraid to make an expression, to use the right of assemble, and this is very difficult. Yeah, and the last is dismiss worker and union leader who are participate wish to form a union. It's a very concern about that. Okay, and working condition. We have to interview some worker, and one worker, Ms. Chao Supon, who are work in one company in the special economic zone, said that she worked 4 years ago, but the company still use short-term contract with her, and she afraid so much with joining with a union because the company tell that when someone have engaged or they know someone join with the union, they will stop their job. So they are afraid so much with this. And for example, like unpaid daily allowance for sick leave or work accident, wage deduction and fine oppose the law. Yes, establish giving bad condition and pressure to force worker to work overtime illegally. Yes, this is that happened in the special economic zone. And the next is no nurse-based workplace. Based on the labor law, they has been required that any factory need to have a nurse or doctor based on the workplace because in order to provide some emergency, yes, when the worker got accident, but most of the factory or company in the special economic zone, we never seen the company have a nurse or doctor in the workplace. So when the worker have a got accident, employment accident in the factory, so no one can be provides emergency serving or emergency aids to the worker. Okay, and the next is unable to get a dispute resolution. It's I am very concerned about the trade union law in 2016. The government of Cambodia, the National Assembly, has been have a new law of trade union, and new law of trade union said if the trade union have the more representative, it means that MOS, so the union cannot have enough right to representative to the whole worker in the factory. In case of have no MOS, the union need to call for the SHUM to support at least 31% of the whole company. So some union, they don't have enough ability to organize a lot of people like that. For example, 5,000 of worker in the company or 10,000 worker of the company. How could we find the voice of worker to support in order to get 31% or to get MOS? So the collective dispute could not settle. So a lot of workers, they are work in the company, did not get the resolution labor dispute properly. Here you see in the picture some pregnant in one company, LB Woods Cambodia. It is the plaque factory. They discriminate against pregnant. Recently, they has been dismissed pregnant people who are work in their company. Yeah, now let me show you something a little bit about the main problem in COVID-19 epidemic. Employment suspension more than 2 months because of the COVID-19, and most of the worker they are challenged too much. Some company in the special economic zone are not provide their salary during their quarantines at home. Yes. The second is lockdown. Company or community work, they cannot go to work and no pay. The next is unpaid wage during quarantine, who involves. The next is lack of food and accommodation. And the last is can't earn money to bank debt prepayment. This is that we are select and choose from the main problem of the worker during COVID-19. What important, and we note that many workers who are get involved with the infected people of the positive COVID-19, those people who are quarantined at home, they are no there are no wage, no salary until they are finished their quarantine at home and come to the company or the factory and start a new day. But during the quarantine, no work, no money. And meanwhile, as you see, the government or the company should think about that. This is not come from the mistake of the worker, but it just from the COVID-19, and they need to provide some support or salary to the people who are involved with the positive people or positive worker as well. Yes, and the next slide is would like to tell all of you about the challenging, yes, in smart city project rapid growth for Saovanee. May you all know Saovanee in the last that I went to Bangkok and have a presentation. Saovanee is very messy with the Chinese come very quickly, and now Saovanee transformed so beautiful with the sky building, and the government, also the provincial leader, they attempt transform Saovanee to become a smart city very soon, but meanwhile, the Saovanee want to transform to a smart city in the name of local people. They are observed that we are faced many problems that need to solve. The first one is economic insecurity. The second is food insecurity. And the third is health insecurity. The fourth, environmental insecurity. The fifth is personal and community insecurity. And the last factor affecting citizen confidence in the institution. This is that we found, and we have perception that in the name of people, local people who are live in the Saovanee, that we challenge, and we need to tell to the leader of the province and also the state leader need to think about the economic insecurity. It's mean, for example, like very high of the rental building, very high price of the rental building, very high price of the house rental that local people cannot compete with the Chinese. And many of the local people, they are get out of the downtown, and in the downtown most of them invest by Chinese. And also the food is also high price, yes, and the land is also high price. And we observe that many local people, they are sell their field rice, yes, their own land of the field rice that they used to crop, make agriculture, that they grow rice, and now they are not grow anymore. They sell their rice fields to Chinese investor. And now we are carelessly about the food insecurity also. As you know in the picture, can you see? Yeah. Related to the environmental insecurity, like you see in the below, the house is flooded by raining. If hell rains only 2 or 3 months, some part of the downtown center will be flooded because of the develop. Yeah, because of the develop. And you see in the above of the picture, we can see the highest building. Yeah, we can see the high building, but local people cannot get the benefit of the local community. This downtown, this beautiful downtown is has been provided to the Chinese investment, yes, but local people, you see in most of local people, yes, they sell on the road, they sell in mobile with tuk-tuk, with motor, yes. This is that we concern, that we want to change, or redesign the same in Saovanee like the special economic zone. And recently, in COVID-19, we observed that with case online, we have seen case of Cambodian worker and many Thais and some foreigners are falling into trap of being trafficked, forced labor, and work illegally. That those people they are come to work just with an easy condition, with just only can use computer and can communicate with English and get high salary. And they have some broker, for example, they have some broker from Thailand, yes, and many of Thai people come to work in online gaming with the Chinese boss, and now most of Thai Cambodian who are work inside of the online gaming, they are trapped in the building, cannot allow, they are not allowed to walk out or walk in, yes, in the building. They many months ago, and those people are not come out, and they work with the harsh condition. They work many hours. Unless I'm mistaken, I used to interview some worker who work game online. Most of them are work 13 hours per day or more. Yes, and with some punishment when those people are not complete their target. Yes, and
Excuse me ค่ะคุณอันรามันค่ะ so like could you please like wrap up because we are almost run out of time, sorry. Like for how many, thank you so much.
Yeah. Okay, and the last I also have some demanding and also recommendation. The first one is that should establish mechanism to improve labor rights and working condition toward decent work. And the second is we don't need trade union law. We already have a labor law, constitution, and convention of ILO, and we are very happy to use that already. And make a national policies to promote fundamental rights of worker. We need to have freedom of association. We need to have MOS and CBA in the company, factory, in the special economic zone. And the last is provide operational grievance mechanism for settle labor dispute better than representative of OLT. It means that Ministry of Labor vocational training. Yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for your wonderful presentation, ค่ะคุณอันรามา but we have to say sorry that we have a limitation of time. Actually, today's time flies so fast. So, before we like come up to the very last session, I would like to talk to you that actually in terms of labor problem, we are faced the same problem, particularly the problem of short-term contract. In Thailand, especially in the border area, we use this kind of worker like a seasonal worker and use the border pass to come to work in factory, but say in the factory as like full-time contract, but we say seasonal worker to abuse them, let's say. So that's why some of them cannot like access to the social security and to access for the rights as you mentioned. So you are not alone. Sorry to say that we have the same problem. And again, so I am very interesting because you mentioned about like OGM, right? Operate because of the time constraint. So OGM is about operational driven mechanism. Actually, this is very important because like the UNGP, UN Guiding Principle on Business and Human Rights also highlight this. In order to protect the rights of worker, the company need to establish the effective operational level mechanism for individual and community. But again, what is effective operational mechanism? Recently, not recent, but ICJ also have the report how what that OGM should be look like. So it's a part of participation and consultation, independent and legitimacy, and the process of the reporting and monitoring of evaluation process. This report, I will send you the link, and you can find what the OGM, let's say, should be look like and should be followed, which in line with UN Guiding Principle on Business and Human Rights. So actually, so now we run out of time. I'm not sure whether any any panelists would like to say something a bit, maybe to each one or 2 minutes. We still have time for say something. Conclusion. If not, I will come up with my conclusion. What do you think? And then we're gonna close the session. Ajahn Kieu, do you have any recommendation, ka? Or do you want to say anything?
No, I get you. Yeah. Thank
Okay,
you.
Dr. Kamulwan, do you have anything to say? We still have time, 1 or 2 minutes.
I would like to spend like 1 minute. So I would
Sure,
like to emphasize on special economic zone. I would like to propose that let local people decide by themselves what does it mean by special economic zone. That's why local people, including our finding, we propose special economic zone from below. From local people, they got the right to decide what the special economic zone means to them. That's my last point. Thank you, Ka.
Okay, Ka. Okay, again, this is the link. As you can see, what is the OGM gonna look like? So you can find out from the ICJ report. Okay, and Rama, do you have anything to say before we end this session? We still have 1 minute for you.
Yeah, the last is wish everybody, safe from COVID-19.
Okay, sure. Okay, so for me, thank you all panelists for sharing us on your insight today. And I will come up with 1 or 2, 3 points. And so I would like to say that all government has a duty to protect human rights in the context of special economic zone to make sure that there won't be negative consequences for community, governments, and investors in the future. And I also would like to make a recommendation that in order to do that, the government should amendment relevant legal framework through meaningful public consultation in accordance with international standards to ensure that the governing body of SEZ must operate with independent, efficiently, and inclusiveness, including public participation in the planning and decision-making process. Second, all people have at very least a minimum degree of security of tenure, sufficient to protect them from fraud, eviction, harassment, and other threats. Third, improve standards for protection of the environment and the impacts of environmental degradation on community. And all workers enjoy equal rights protections based on the principle of non-discrimination and inequality. And all affected persons by implementation of special economic zones are provided with effective, prompt, and accessible judicial and non-judicial remedy, which is include the OGM process, as I mentioned. And the last one, the company operating in SEZ carry out business activity in line with UNGP and uphold their obligation to respect human rights and adopting effective OGM, and also apply the principle of the principle of responsible investor, as Dr. Kamulwan mentioned. So now, on behalf of organizer, I would the government of Laos, Cambodia, Myanmar, Vietnam, and also Thailand to address this issue immediately. And today, I would like to thank you for all panelists and all participants for joining us for today.
Thank you very much, Assistant Professor Saovanee. and all the panelists for this session. So that was very interesting panels. And to the audience, now we will have a discussion and the film titled Asli, the origin, that we'll show you very soon. But for now, we may take some time for the preparation, and please wait for us here and don't change to any channel.